Good evening. Buenas tardes. Please gather in. Please gather in. Acérquense. Acérquense. Please gather in. Good evening once again. Buenas tardes. Bienvenidos. Welcome. My name is Bolivar Fraga. Many of you know me as Bo, a nickname that I've had since kindergarten. I just saw a friend here from my middle school days. It's great to be among so many fellow Houstonians, so many fellow East Enders, so many fellow Fifth Ward residents. Let's give all of us a round of applause. All right, Second Ward, Fifth Ward, East End, the city of Houston, we're here. I'm a proud member of this organization, Buffalo Bayou Partnership, a longtime resident of the East End, and just very proud and excited to be with all of you here this morning, just as what we're doing here for our community, for the city overall. And I want to recognize our board chair who's with us this evening, Judy Nyquist, just a little there behind the chairs here. Thank you, Judy. Fellow board members who are here, thank you for joining us in all the work to getting us to this point. And also want to recognize by name the president of our organization, Ann Olson, who unfortunately is under the weather, so she can't be here with us this evening. But she sends her regards, and she has just been a force of nature in getting us to the point where we are and looking ahead to the future. Buffalo Bayou Partnership, BBP, we are the nonprofit that's creating and stewarding welcoming parks, trails, and unique spaces, connecting Houstonians with one of our most historic and perhaps our most prominent natural feature, and that is Buffalo Bayou. As brown as it is, we say, let's give Buffalo Bayou itself a round of applause. Don't we just love it? We are delighted that you're with us here this evening to update you on the exciting work that we are doing along the banks of Buffalo Bayou here in the East Sector. Some of you were with us in 2019 when we presented the master plan for the East Sector. We were here at this location. It looked quite differently, but there was still that great excitement. Some of you were here going back to 2017, 2018 when we launched the master plan. Thank you for being here along the way. Thank you for being with us this evening. The projects that you will see presented here in a few minutes have been made possible through an extraordinary public-private partnership, and that needs to be recognized. It has involved the Kinder Foundation, the City of Houston, Harris County, Buffalo Bayou Partnership, the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone for the East End and also for Fifth Ward, TERS 23 and TERS 18. And we extend a heartfelt and our utmost gratitude to all those partners for their support, and a special thanks to the Houston Parks and Recreation Department for its ongoing collaboration. Please, a round of applause for those partners, this public-private partnership that has made this all possible. We also want to recognize that elected officials have been so very important along the way. I mentioned the City of Houston and Harris County, and with us tonight, I know we have Councilmember Mario Castillo. He will be saying a few words here shortly. Thank you, Councilmember. We are in District H, Second Ward, and he is our Councilmember. I also like to recognize I did see former Councilmember Gracie Sines, at-large Councilmember Gracie there. Thank you so much, Gracie. You continue to provide so important leadership in so many aspects of our life here, both community and in civic engagement. Thank you so much, Gracie. We want to thank any other elected officials who are with us here this evening, or their staff members or representatives. Thank you for also making it possible to get to this point and for keeping that vision of going beyond on this plan. Several foundations, and some of you are here tonight, took a chance on us, could see our vision, and have supported our work for decades. Without their generous support, the projects you'll see tonight would not be possible. And very importantly, it is you all, the community East End, Second Ward, Fifth Ward, that have been with us again since the launch of the master plan going back to 2017, 2018, who have been with us along this process. I've been there right there with you. We believe, thanks Jessica, we believe the best way to make spaces meaningful is through authentic, and consistent engagement and involvement, participation. Yes, a cheer for that. Authentic and consistent community engagement. Over 300 of you are here with us this evening, and that reflects the dedication that we have given to community engagement, to reach out to you all, and to invite you to be part of this important process of doing something wonderful along the banks of the bayou here in the East Sector. Thank you once again for joining us this evening. Again, there'll be a presentation about the projects, all the specific projects that are being established here on the east banks of the Buffalo Bayou. I want to turn the mic over now to our council member. And that reminds me, fellow Houstonians, this is my public service announcement. Early voting has started, right? City of Houston, we have a special election for an at-large council member position number 4, along with 17 amendments to our state constitution. Right? If you live in other jurisdictions, please take the time to find out what's on your ballot. That is my public service announcement for this evening. Councilmember Castillo.
Thank you very much, Bo, and especially for your plug of early voting. That's very important, and it is going on right now as we speak. And I want to also encourage y'all to get out and cast your ballots and make your voice heard with these important elections we have. My name is Mario Castillo. I'm your city council member for District H, and I'm excited to be here tonight. Thank y'all. I'm excited to be here tonight because after taking office, this project clearly was a priority, and it was one that we organized a meeting around to get the neighborhood out here to see the space before it even had a lot of these improvements. And to see how far it's come is very exciting. This is the second progress report. It won't be the last, but the turnout tonight is also a testament to how excited the community is for this particular project. It's going to be fantastic. Yes. There are so many folks that have had a hand in this project. I want to thank the Buffalo Bayou Partnership for spearheading this effort and getting us to this point, and all the stakeholders that have been involved, and for keeping community engagement at the forefront of this, because that is incredibly important to me as well. Yeah, thank you all. So enjoy the presentation, the update, the information. Ask questions afterwards. There will be folks scattered around in stations for you to do that. And I look forward to being here for the next update as well. And want to thank you all for your participation, for your engagement, and your continued support of this project. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ian Roseberg. I'm Senior Vice President for Capital Projects and Planning, and I'm going to do the best I can standing in for Ann Olson tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Bo, Council Member, for both being the steady presence and bridge to this community that benefits so many of us. And to you, welcome to Turkey Bend. Since Ann Olson is under the weather, I have the pleasure to share a few remarks she prepared before we dive into the presentation. Tonight, we want to start by talking a bit about how Buffalo Bayou's plans and persistence have led to the progress we'll be sharing with you. Almost 25 years ago, Buffalo Bayou launched the Buffalo Bayou and Beyond Master Plan, envisioning a thriving, linear network of parks, trails, and community spaces for the 10-mile stretch of the waterway from Shepherd Drive to the Port of Houston. These plans laid out a vision and principles that have guided our work since. In 2019, as Bo mentioned, we launched the Buffalo Bayou East Master Plan, and 3 years later, the Kinder Foundation stepped forward and awarded us a $100 million grant, which we leveraged There's even more, which we leveraged with the city and the county, funding this over $300 million effort. Tonight, we'll update you on the projects that have been completed and open to the public, projects under construction, and others that will be coming in the coming years. As our project managers and I will make our presentations, we hope you will see the themes that are woven through these projects. Building on what's already here, this is one of the things that we have really strived and taken to heart. As you walk around this building, you'll be able to see. Whether it's keeping the native trees and vegetation of these areas, repurposing abandoned industrial remnants, and creating these new welcoming public spaces. It is very intentional that we are not wiping the slate clean, but building upon these existing resources. By reimagining unique historic waterfronts and buildings like Turkey Bend into vibrant new destinations, we weave cultural heritage of maritime industrial history of the Great East End and Fifth Wards into these landscapes. Besides trails, we're developing pedestrian bridges, constructing neighborhood streets, and transforming Navigation Boulevard into a linear greenway in partnership with Harris County, as you can see here. So now, I will dive into my part of the presentation. So we'll now share a high-level overview of the 10-year plan, reiterating the breadth and type of projects which is comprised of here. This includes over 75 acres of new and renovated green space, 6 miles of trails, and nearly 2 miles of roadway and roadway improvements. There's over 20 projects we're working on or have completed, 80 mixed-use housing units, and over 100,000 square feet of building space. The extension of the hike and bike trails and this network from and to downtown will connect neighborhoods to the bayou and each other, which have long been lacking this connectivity. Finally, and most importantly to me, Buffalo Bayou will maintain these projects once we're finished, from then until in perpetuity. So it's always fun when you get to have the ribbon cutting and see the people, which we really do this for. I've learned a long time ago, we do this for the people. The projects are great, but it's really the people that enjoy these things that are the legacy we leave behind. And by the end of this year, the city, the county, and Buffalo Bayou and our partnership will have completed 8 of these projects that you'll see or have heard of. It includes the housing in Lockwood, Jaffet Creek Park Phase 1, and Garford Park. And portions of new roadways that we're building called Barone Parkway and the city's Lockwood Capital Improvements Project. Our teams will dive much greater into detail in these presentations. And we've celebrated many groundbreakings. And again, it's great to have everybody involved in these, and these are what we look forward to in our day-to-day efforts. Just this year, we broke ground on Tony Marone Park, and literally today, the crews were out starting our South Bank Trail. Both of these will open in 2027. Connectivity is the single most important and unifying component of all of our projects. These trails, bridges, and other shared use paths connect this network together into a living system. The Kinder Trails are comprised of trails on the north bank of Buffalo Bayou, from downtown to Tony Marone to Jaffet Creek, and on the south bank from downtown to Tony Marone Park. And includes one of our 2 pedestrian bridges that will cross the bayou, connecting Gregg Street on the north and Velasco Street on the south. These trails are the backbone of the 10-year plan, connecting people, features, and places. Some of these projects are being implemented by the city and partners like Midway, and others like the county. We didn't get here overnight. Buffalo Bayou Partnership has been in existence since 1986, and nearly since day one, the partnership has been acquiring real estate in the East End. And the single reason we're able to complete this vision. But all those years of acquisition, it still wasn't enough. The properties on the screen, which was no small task, are the properties we had to acquire either in fee, easement, or other sources to be able to deliver these projects. And let me be clear, these properties will all be suitable for residential and park development from an environmental perspective. I didn't expect that. The other thing is we believe in making sure we deliver equitably across all of our projects. BBP has created many standards, but we also learn from the past. Our trails used to be 10 feet in width. Our trails in East End will be 13 to 15 feet wide. This allows for a greater number of users or uses, higher number of users, as well as many of the other lessons learned. Also key in our projects are amenities and the safety that they bring. Trails, as you know, Buffalo Bayou likes our trails dusk to dawn. As most lives don't revolve around daylight hours any longer, and these trails are used by people to get to work, school, and other events. We're also implementing call stations, where for the first time in a Houston park, we're piloting those and see how they work for safety. And as well as the other standard amenities, we recognize our benches and trash cans and things like that, but we're also implementing furniture and signage that is unique elements to the neighborhood and to the community. We're emphasizing more natural designs and that ties better to the aesthetics of the project, as you can see in some of the wood furniture. The first project I'll go over is our gateways to downtown. It's both the north and south banks of the bayou. And on this specific segment, one of the key components is the connection to Jensen, north and south. It's one of the only links between the two communities into downtown, which has long lost the connection on the north bank. Each project comes with its own unique set of challenges. The North Bank's design required a heavily engineered solution to bolster the banks, furthered by the self-supported trail, driven by the obligations to maintain the bayou's capacity, which includes stabilization of upwards of 20 feet of fill material. I'll show you in a second. As you can see, the massive amounts of fill that are here are to ensure the stabilization of this bank long into the future. And on the right, you'll see the landscaping beginning to go in with a very unique vegetation system that goes in and basically matures over time into being a very lush and dense vegetative bank, as you can see here from Buffalo Bayou Park. This not only is great for the stability of the banks, but it creates shade and natural habitats for a lot of the things that live here. that came out wrong, sorry. I just meant to say natural habitat. I know what you guys are thinking. These trails are really important. They connect downtown and move east to projects all the way to Jaffa Creek on the north bank. And they include trails that have been implemented. Our trails have been implemented on East River by Midway through their project. Moving to the south side of the bayou, we're reimagining the iconic silos that many of you know and have seen and heard before. Many of you know these spaces or have visited them before. If not, we're confident you will in the future for events or just as a rest along your bayou walk. We're creating a site where the silos are and creating a stormwater crossing. Places like these we'll create new pocket parks, new green spaces along the trails. These green spaces have dual purposes. Not only just a park, a neighborhood park, and a place for events, but also we're creating a system to channel neighborhood rainwater and stormwater and flow it through these spaces and create new lush habitats, as well as treating storm runoff before it goes back into the bayou. These images illustrate the vision and intent of these new features. This one approaching from the west, and this one from inside the space itself, overlooking the small wetland. And on the east side of the silos, the new trail will engage these spaces and create a unique gravel garden. As we continue east along the South Bank trails until we arrive at Velasco Street, which will connect to the Gregg Street Bridge across the bayou. This project is still in design, as you can see from some of the graphics on the right side of the screen, showing you that it's moving, but it will be one of the last projects we complete. The importance of this trail and these connections, especially across the bayou, not only does it connect the trails to each side of the bayou, but it connects the amenities and opportunities such as jobs, housing, and parks provided by both sides. These trail segments and connections will provide something different to the many users of these facilities. We work with what we have, creating beautiful landscapes and structures responding to challenging environments of the banks of the bayou. Many are requiring unique solutions, such as this elevated trail in the image, and such as the Kinder Bridge at Jaffa Creek, which my colleague Waldemar Gonzalez will now share with you.
I'm Waldemar Gonzalez, project manager with Buffalo Bayou Partnership. Better? And I'll be speaking to you about one of the first park projects that we've completed on the east side. That's Jaffa Creek Park. It's a park that's been open for just over a year now. It was originally it is a 3-acre park that was originally created and maintained by the neighborhood. Shout out to Jim and Eileen who are in the audience. And I think it's a good example of our overall strategy, like Ian mentioned, of taking what's there, taking what works, and building upon it rather than scraping it clean and starting over. We added amenities, of course, like lighting, seating, trash and recycling receptacles. We created new things like, or new spaces like wildflower meadows and community lawns. But we also kept some of the original artifacts on the site, like the construction dumpster planter that's here in the foreground, and I don't know if you can see it in the background here, but that's a shipping container storage shed in the background. And we also kept the original sign, which you saw a couple slides ago. Most importantly, we kept as many of the existing mature trees as possible to ensure vistas like this. This isn't typically what you get in a brand new park. You get tiny little trees. And we upgraded the existing mulch paths to concrete so that they're accessible to more people. Jaffa Creek itself, this is very sensitive. Jaffa Creek itself is one of the foremost asset of the park. It's a natural resource that a lot of people don't even know about. And aside from its importance as drainage for a good portion of the Fifth Ward, it's also one of the last spring-fed creeks that feeds Buffalo Bayou that has not been paved over. So most people don't even know it exists, and the next phase of the project is really about getting people closer to it. So phase 2 takes the trail from phase 1, follows the trail down to where Jaffa Creek empties into Buffalo Bayou, and then we bridge over to Tony Marone Park. In this way, the park serves as a gateway from the Fifth Ward into the expanded 40 acres at Tony Marone Park. As we follow the trail we find some interesting artifacts, again, that we're kind of weaving the trail through. This is one of the more interesting ones where we've got an existing train trestle right here that we literally thread the path, the trail right through it. And of course, the end is at Tony Marone Park. The end goal is Tony Marone Park, and the last leg of that, the last 600 feet of that journey are made possible by the Kinder Bridge. It's a pedestrian-only bridge. It's the second of the pedestrian bridges that we're building on the east side. The first one was the Gregg Street Bridge that Ian alluded to earlier. This links the second and fifth wards together while providing increased access primarily from the fifth ward down into the expanded park at Tony Marone that my colleague Jose is going to tell us about.
Hi, I'm Jose Solis. I'm one of the other project managers for Buffalo Bayou Partnership. I'm going to talk about Tony Marone Park, which we really see as the green space heart of the entire Buffalo Bayou East 10-year plan. It's currently under construction, but it's it's an existing park that's been there for many years in the East End, and we had several goals with this project. One of them was really to reconnect the neighborhood to the bayou. For many years, the neighborhood really didn't have access to the bayou, and so one of the key goals is to make that connection. And the second is really part of one of the general themes we've talked about all throughout the evening, is build upon what's there. So the existing park, you can see the footprint of what it had been before we started construction, was about 19 acres, and we're expanding it both to the east and to the west and to make it a little bit over 40 acres. And we're really building upon what was in the park originally. So there was an existing tree canopy, so we're keeping those. There were sports fields, existing structures. We even are setting it up so that the new trails within the park will follow the existing trails so we don't have to disrupt the landscape as much. But on top of that, we're also really building upon the culture and the cultural and industrial legacies of the East End and Greater Fifth Ward. So this shows you the different types of spaces we're having within the park. As I mentioned, there's things like the soccer fields where those are existing and we're maintaining them. Others, like Cypress Square, you see at the bottom, is an existing space that we're adapting it for a new use. And then things like the barbecue pavilion, event shed, and play garden, those are entirely new spaces that are being added to the park. So with Cypress Square, this is an existing grove of cypress trees, and we're modeling this. It's a formal garden that we're really modeling after plazas that you would see in Latin American countries, in central plazas in major cities, really to build upon the cultural legacy of the Second Ward as really the heart of the Mexican American community. The next area is the overall area we're calling the play garden. This is really it's not like a typical playground where you just have a bunch of equipment in a field. It's really a full landscape that really envelops the kids. It's an immersive environment, and we really saw it when we approached it from a creative standpoint. So for example, you see this armadillo here as part of the ongoing community engagement we did throughout the planning of all of Buffalo Bayou East. We actually asked school children in the area what they wanted to see, and they actually picked the armadillo as part of an activity we did for them. But then on top of them, if you look at the colors of it, it's brightly colored. It's modeled after alebrijes, which, if you know what those are, they're Mexican wood carvings that are very brightly colored, once again to build on the cultural legacy of the Second Ward. There's also another area called the Waterworks. This is a water play landscape, and once again, it's building upon the industrial legacy of the East, of Buffalo Bayou East. So we actually have a waterworks structure at the top if you see it in the upper left. And the way that this landscape is set up, that the kids can actually manipulate the water so that it flows through all the different channels and little structures, and they can pump things and do things like that. So it's a much more interactive experience than just, say like a splash pad. The next area is the Port Toddler Play Area. It's surrounded by, or it's centered on this large boat here that was actually modeled after snag boats that used to run up and down Buffalo Bayou when it was the historic port, and those were the boats that would actually guide ships to port, or to the dock. So once again, building upon the industrial legacy of the Buffalo Bayou east of downtown. We're also reusing an existing structure. This had been a warehouse in that expansion part of the park, and we're repurposing this as a park pavilion. So this is where you can have, kids events, birthdays, things like that in a covered space, and also importantly, it'll have restrooms in it. Also facilities for cleaning kids when they've been playing in that water play area. So the next structure we have on the site is an existing structure that's being repurposed as the barbecue pavilion. This is modeled after, so it'll have two very large communal barbecue pits that I actually saw John and Veronica Avila from Henderson and Kane, who have literally, she's a board member and has literally been helping us design these barbecue pits, as modeled after what you might see in Central Texas at dance halls and churches where there's big community events. We'll be able to host big events here at this space. Surrounding that pavilion will be multiple picnic tables, chairs, tables, things like that, but there'll also be a whole series of barbecue grills where families and friends can congregate around food. Another structure that's going to be repurposed on the site is this old warehouse at the top that's going to be converted into what we're calling the event shed. And this will be a covered pavilion that it'll host events like movie nights, pop-up markets, concerts, things like that, but it'll also be the spot in the park where families and friends can gather in the shade. Underneath the Hirsch Bridge, to really take advantage of the shade that you get there, we're putting a fitness area that'll also be along the main trail along the bayou, so that as people are exercising and using the trail for fitness, here's a direct area that they can add on to their workout. And then just east of that, also along the Bayou Trail, there's a large Bayou lawn bowl that faces the water, so that people in the park can really have a visual connection down to the water. And it's also designed, you can kind of see it in the rendering, that it's undulating, sort of like an amphitheater, so that we'll be able to do outdoor performances and events in this location. Tony Moran Park is also going to be the site of a lot of the public art that we're implementing throughout Buffalo Bayou East. So you can see that there's several locations scattered throughout the park. 4 of the locations are actually permanent, there'll be permanent pieces. The temporary art lawn, which will essentially be right next to that lawn bowl that we just looked at, that'll be a space that we can do rotating exhibits. So if you've ever been to Buffalo Bayou Park and seen some of the installations we've done there, this will be the space that we do that in Tony Moran. And for the rest of the pieces, 3 of them are literally tied to the existing structures that are out here, and then the 4th is a much larger freestanding structure. So that freestanding structure is, we've commissioned an artist named Margarita Cabrera. She's an El Paso-born artist, so she has deep Texas ties. She's lived in Houston for over at various points in her career. And she's already started working on this piece. And one of the things that we actually did this summer is actually had a workshop with her where community members were actually able to interact with her, and they actually started creating some of the pieces that'll then be components that actually get incorporated into the artwork, so that literally the piece of art will be coming from the community. The other piece that we've already commissioned is to take the existing pavilion that is in the park and reimagining it essentially as a canvas for a new work of art. This will be by Geraldo Rosales. He's a Houston-based artist from Venezuela, and he really focuses a lot of his art on folklore and nature. And so the piece that he'll be doing really will draw upon the existing flora and fauna of essentially the Buffalo Bayou East, and that'll be the inspiration for this piece. And this just sort of gives you an idea of what some of his previous work looked like. And then another key piece of the Buffalo Bayou East end of Tony Marone, we need to take care of all this stuff. You know, this is the maintenance facility that will be on the far end of Tony Marone Park. It's really the key to making sure that we're ensuring the future of all these spaces. It allows us to support all of our long-term investments so that we can make sure that all of these spaces are both clean and safe in the long term. Both of our park maintenance operations and our bayou operations will be housed in this facility, and it's located in such a way that it's really away from the public areas in the park, so that it's out of the way, you're not really seeing it, but it still has access to the water, but in a way that maintenance vehicles really won't be intruding into the park. So we're trying to really minimize, you know, interaction between the public and that maintenance, those maintenance crews. And with that, I'm going to now hand it over to Leslie, who's the next project manager, who will be talking about the next part of Buffalo Bayou East, just the east.
Good evening. I am Leslie Ironman and a Buffalo Bayou Partnership project manager for portions of Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou and various other projects. Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou is within an area situated on Buffalo Bayou just east of Tony Marone Park and includes affordable housing, a neighborhood park, and a new roadway. The first phase of this project was the Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou multi-unit community, which was completed in 2024. This affordable housing unit offers 80 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom homes to residents with varied income ranges, which features spacious floor plans, abundant natural light, modern conveniences, and unique touches by local artists. These apartments were thoughtfully designed to elevate residents' quality of life, offering stunning views of the downtown skyline, Buffalo Bayou, and the soon-to-be-opened Garver Park. Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou helps frame the 10-acre Garver Park, creating an important boundary for the recreational green space to be enjoyed by area residents. Just over a year ago, and right as construction began, the Garver Park space endured a double blow beginning with the May 2024 derecho, followed by Hurricane Beryl just 2 months later. Our design team and general contractor worked very hard to assess the impact of saving trees and adjust landscaping plans as needed. And today, I'm thrilled to share that we are putting the finishing touches on what will soon be a vibrant, welcoming green space for the community this spring. This park was designed with intention. With Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou as an anchor, our goal was to create a community embedded within lush public green space that acts as a front yard. Basically, a shared space for residents in the adjacent neighborhood community. Trails now weave through the existing landscape where we preserved as much of the natural environment as possible. One of the elements that we are proud of is our commitment to using native planting and grasses. Our goal is to support the local ecosystems by offering food and habitat for wildlife, as well as to provide a low-maintenance green space that requires less water, fertilizer, and pesticides. Another benefit for this park space is that these native plants will help control soil erosion and improve water quality by reducing runoff. An important highlight for this park and for Buffalo Bayou East is the new dog park. Nestled in a more natural setting and divided with plenty of space for small and large breeds, it's just one of the many amenities that reflect our commitment to accessibility, sustainability, and our far-legged friends. While the park currently faces the bayou, it will in the coming years have direct connectivity to Tony Maroon Park via the Kinder Trail and to Maroon Parkway once complete in the coming months. Here's what you can look forward to. Waste and recycling stations, including dog waste bins, BVP standard lighting and amenities, some familiar from Buffalo Bayou Park, and others that are new to us, such as the bottle filler and dog-friendly drinking fountains. A children's playground with seating for parents and caregivers, a hike and bike trail for recreation and commuting, passive pedestrian footpaths for quiet strolls, native plantings that encourage wildlife and wildflowers, covered parking courtesy of the Lockwood Drive overpass, which is currently under construction by Harris County, a dynamic landscape with mounds, trees, and varied topography, designed not only for beauty and movement, but also to reduce noise for the residents and to enhance the natural experience. Connectivity to Tony Maroon Park, Maroon Parkway, and ultimately, Navigation Greenway once complete. Maroon Parkway, a new public road linking Lockwood Drive and North York Street, is currently under construction and will provide essential access to Tony Maroon Park, Lockwood on Buffalo Bayou, and Garber Park. This new complete street includes infrastructure improvements that are part of our 10-year plan to expand public access, increase safety, and improve the quality of life for our community. A 10-foot wide hike and bike trail is an extension of the Bayou Trail Network and will provide direct access to green space for all of our neighbors. This street is intended to alleviate truck and through traffic within the adjacent neighborhoods. I know everyone's looking forward to that. We anticipate this project to be complete and open to the public in the coming spring of '26. In addition to Maroon Parkway, we are collaborating with the city and county on significant infrastructural improvements to increase multimodal transportation on adjacent streets. The Lockwood Capital Improvement Project with the City of Houston connects directly to Maroon Parkway and Garber Park. This is the first phase of the multi-phase project, which has been completed and includes widened and accessible sidewalks and crosswalks, as well as new trees and vegetation along Lockwood Drive, just north of Navigation Boulevard. Navigation Greenway is a scenic linear park that BVP is creating in collaboration with Harris County Precinct 2. Currently, the design is complete and it's set to go in construction next year. Stretching along Navigation Boulevard from Lockwood Drive, the Greenway is a scenic linear park with a wide tree-lined median and a hike and bike trail that will link several green spaces together, including Garber Park and Turkey Bend. Eventually, the Greenway will also provide a beautiful alternative path for those ultimately heading toward the Port of Houston turning basin. The improved Navigation Greenway will provide safe pedestrian cycling accessibility community resources along Navigation Boulevard. And now I'd like to introduce Baltimore to discuss Turkey Bend Warehouse, where we are right now. Thank you.
The last project we're going to talk about tonight is made up of several different pieces and several different phases. The Turkey Bend site is really strategic for us because it's one of the few places really anywhere in Houston where we have a major east-west connector and the bayou basically touching each other. And very shortly, the community will be able to access the bayou directly via an interesting secret that some of y'all might know about. The phase one renovations, I think the images, the space largely speak for themselves, but I think it's especially impactful when we look at some of the before and after images here. What we started off with, what our design team started off with, I know our architect is represented here tonight, Harry, shout out. We started off with a really simple red brick facade, a lot of concrete, loading dock, truck bays, that sort of thing. Very closed off. There's nothing there that says this is a public space, right? And our architects came up with the concept of opening the facade physically and symbolically to the neighborhood to make it clear that yes, you are welcome here, please come inside. The north side has similar treatment, as you can see here. And really what this does is it provides views, believe it or not, to the bayou during the daytime. You can actually see the water and nice views of downtown. I can actually see the night skyline right now, which is nice. It's also a quiet place to come and have lunch, read a book, escape from the hustle and bustle that is Navigation Boulevard. I think by now, if you guys have wandered around the building, it's pretty clear that this is not a typical historic renovation. While we want to honor the history of the spaces we're working in, and we want to preserve as much of that existing character and the fabric of the building, we also give our design teams a fair amount of freedom to reimagine the space to suit a new purpose. And I think you're seeing the end result of that here. The top slide here is from the Graffiti Symposium a couple years ago. Some of y'all may have attended that. And y'all are literally sitting in the same spot they were 2 years ago. So you get a sense of the difference here. Now, part of bringing the building up to code meant that a lot of the existing graffiti that the building was really known for got covered up. But we had this idea that as we demoed the walls to create these large welcoming openings, that we could salvage the bricks with the graffiti paint on them and use them in the wall that is the restroom mask in the background here. I like to think of it as a celebration of the multiple lives this building has had, and it's a little bit of the history of the building, kind of all in one composition over there. Those are bricks that were made in Houston. That's clay from the bayou, and we kept it here in the building. So this is what the breezeway looked like before. The U-shaped ramp that goes down to the tunnel here creates a very clear focal point within the heart of the breezeway, and our architects emphasize that by putting a stage there and this great sculptural piece that comes down from the ceiling that's lit up here in the middle that we call the oculus. It's a great space. You get a real sense of enclosure there without any walls. So we're in a public plaza. This is public space. We are in Houston though, so having a roof for shade is a great idea, and having giant fans is an even better idea. And by the way, even though the building is not fully open yet to the public, it is available for event rentals, so feel free to reach out to us. The breezeway is the front door to all of the spaces that are on the periphery. So we've got 2 lease spaces on the west side here, but more importantly, HPL, Houston Public Library, is working on putting in the Hispanic History Research Center and Archive to my left over here. And I know we have some representatives from the Houston Public Library here tonight. Feel free to stand up, wave. Behind me, we will have a Houston Public Library Express branch in this space here. And both of these should be open within the next couple of years. Now, many of you have been here before for events like the Graffiti Symposium, or I was talking to somebody earlier about coming here for the launch of the master plan. So many of you know the building, you know this cool tunnel. For those of you that are not, or that have not been here before, a key feature of the space, and really I think what made this of interest to Buffalo Bayou, is this connection down to the bayou. This is the original tunnel. To me, it's one of the coolest spaces in the building. And soon it will be open to the public for everyone to enjoy. And providing direct connection from navigation down to the bayou, and what will be the next phase of our project on Buffalo Bayou. Now this is still in design. The next phase is the creation of a waterfront park at what is the historic Houston Barge Terminal at Turkey Bend. There's roughly 12 acres of space down here. We have a 20,000 square foot warehouse. We've got 2 gantry cranes. One of them has this great roof structure over it. We're creating a community boating hub on the west end of it, and then parking also directly off of navigation. Similar to our other projects, we intend to honor the history, keep as much of the character and fabric as we can of the existing building. I mean, come on, you cannot build something like this now, right? It's beautiful, and you know, we're going to take that, and as you can see in this next image here, it's reinterpreted as a public gathering space, performance space, and entry into the wharf pavilion beyond. The area behind the wharf shed is an old rail spur, so those railroad tracks here, they used to bring rail cars here so they could load and unload from the wharf shed. It's an area that has become, by itself, serendipitously, has become a rain garden of sorts. And we're working with our design teams to try and figure out how do we keep that and possibly even use it to treat stormwater runoff before it makes its way into the bayou. This is that same space looking east now. You can see we've got this floating structure here. Those are the restrooms that serve the uses down here. This is at a much lower elevation than where we are now. And anything that we build on here, we really have to keep in mind the natural ebb and flow of the bayou as we build down there. You can also see the warehouse we're currently in up here and get a sense of the elevational difference. The historic wharf will become a waterfront park with, you know, again, nods to the history that was here. So we see the old piles here that are supporting the wood wharf deck, the original wharf deck. We see the original gantry crane in the background here. One of the great things about Turkey Bend as a whole, if you all remember the map that was a couple slides ago, that U-shape is completely out of the main channel of the bayou. So there's no current and there's no boat traffic. So because of that, that's why we'll encourage and really focus our boating activities here. So you can imagine coming here and renting a canoe or kayak and going to the bayou, or you know, driving down the driveway potentially and you know, taking the ramp down here under the gantry and launching your kayak directly into the water there. But that's not all. Now, this is beyond the 10-year plan, but we've got almost 5 acres of property on the east bank here, and the goal is to develop that into additional park and trail space, and then possibly even link up to property that we have on the north bank with another pedestrian bridge. That's it for Turkey Bend. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Ian to close us out.
With all that, you can see why I've been doing this for over 20 years, working with the partnership. Having such a great team and working for such a great organization, but most importantly, thank you. Thank all of you who are here. You're the reason we do this work. This is for you, your family, and the future of Houston. We appreciate all of you joining us for this journey to help us realize these connected networks of parks, trails, and unique destinations along Buffalo Bayou East. While we've made significant progress today with design, some construction, some completion of these projects, we still have much to do since 2022. While all these projects are a portion of the master plan will be, while all these projects of the master plan will be completed by 2032, we will see many openings together, sharing a lot of groundbreakings, and gather in a lot of new community spaces as we bring these projects to fruition. Now it's my pleasure, and on behalf of Ann Olson and the Buffalo Bayou Partnership, we invite you to join our team for conversation, and we hope you stick around to enjoy some refreshments from Ninfas on Navigation and some from St. Arnold Brewing. Also enjoy the music from DJ Gracie Chavez as you explore the newly completed warehouse at Turkey Bend. And lastly, make sure you make your way down the tunnel and go check out the wharf. Thank you, thank you, thank you.